All right, diving in. Today's deep dive, well, it's all about bull traps.
Oh, bull traps. Those are fun.
Well, they can be fun, for the people setting them.
Right.
Not so much for, well, anybody getting caught in them.
No, not at all.
And a listener wrote in, they said, hey, could you guys take a look at bull traps? I hear about them, but I don't really know, what to look out for. How do you spot them?
Yeah.
And how do you avoid them? So today, that's what you're going to do. We're going to deep dive into the world of bull traps.
We're going to try to help our listeners avoid getting gored.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
we actually found an interesting term from Turkish, bola tuza,
Oh, yeah. I love that.
which literally translates to bull trap.
Yeah.
So clearly this is a global phenomenon.
Yeah.
So maybe first off, for the uninitiated, I mean, what is a bull trap?
Well, you can kind of think of it like a bullfight, right?
Okay.
You've got the matador there with the red cape, and the bull thinks it's going to charge, and it's it's going to win, and the matador moves out of the way at the last minute, and the bull's left there kind of vulnerable.
Looking foolish.
Looking foolish, exactly. And that's kind of what happens in the stock market. You see this upward trend, the stock price is moving up.
Mm-hmm.
You jump in thinking, oh, this is going to keep going. And then all of a sudden it reverses, and it comes crashing down and you're left holding the bag.
Yeah, yeah. I've definitely, I've been tricked by these things before, and so let's dive into what are some of the things that cause these things. I mean, what's at the root?
Well, I mean, you look at our sources, and there's a number of factors. I mean, sometimes it can be something as straightforward as misleading news, right? There's some piece of news that comes out that's just completely false about a company or a sector, and people jump in thinking, oh, this is great news, and the price inflates, and then of course the truth comes out, and the bottom falls out.
Yeah.
But it can also be more nefarious, right?
Right.
The sources talk about rug pulls, which are very common, especially in the cryptocurrency space.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah, I know, I've heard the term. I don't really know exactly what that means.
Yeah, it's basically, you have these developers that are creating crypto projects,
Right.
and they hype up the price of their token, and they make all these promises, and people jump in because the FOMO, the fear of missing out, kicks in.
Right.
Everybody's buying it, the price is going up, and then all of a sudden, the developers, they dump all of their holdings and they take all the money, and the price crashes, and everybody that bought in is left holding these worthless tokens.
So they're manipulating the market essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And that FOMO is such a powerful thing, right?
It is.
I mean, it's like, it's kind of hardwired into us, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, you look at, historically, to be part of the group,
Mm-hmm.
the tribe, that meant survival.
Right.
So we really are wired to follow the crowd. And so when you see everybody buying something and, talking about how much money they're making, it's very easy to get swept up in that. And that fear of being left behind, it can really override your judgment, and you can end up doing things that you wouldn't normally do. You don't do your research. You just jump in, and
Right.
and that's exactly what these bull trap setters are counting on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let's get into then some of the warning signs. I mean, how do you recognize a bull trap? What should people be looking out for?
Well, one of the biggest red flags is a sudden price surge without any real catalyst.
Okay.
If a stock price is just shooting up and there's no news, there's no announcements, there's no real reason for it to be going up, be wary.
Yeah.
That could be a sign that something's fishy. Somebody's trying to pump up the price.
Right.
Another thing to look out for is heavy selling following an initial buying frenzy.
Oh, okay.
So, the price shoots up,
Right.
and then all of a sudden you see all these early investors start cashing out.
Yeah, yeah. It's like that moment at a big party where you realize, wait a second, everyone's heading for the doors. The music's about to stop.
Exactly.
I need to get out of here.
You want to be ahead of that crowd.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider is trading volume. Okay. So if you see low trading volume despite high price increases, that's
Yeah.
another warning sign. It suggests that the price movement isn't really being driven by genuine demand. There's not a lot of people buying and selling.
Right.
So it could be that the market is being manipulated by a small group of people.
Oh, so it's a combination. It's low volume,
Hmm.
but high price. And
Exactly.
that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then the sources also talked about resistance levels.
Oh, yeah. Resistance levels. Yeah. What are those?
So resistance levels, it's essentially a price point where a stock has historically struggled to break through.
Okay.
It's kind of like a ceiling. So imagine, a stock has repeatedly failed to move past, say, $50 a share in the past,
Mm-hmm.
and then it approaches $50 again, but it just can't seem to break through it.
Yeah.
That suggests that there's some underlying weakness there,
Hmm.
and that a reversal could be coming, and that could very well be a bull trap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Those are all really great pointers, I think, for people to be on the lookout for. But say you do all that due diligence. Say you think about these things,
Mm.
and you still get caught. I mean, what do you do?
Well, the first thing is don't panic.
Okay.
One of the worst things you can do is to make an emotional decision.
Right.
When you're feeling panicked,
Mhm.
you're not thinking clearly.
Yeah. Exactly.
So take a step back, revisit the fundamentals of your investment, and really reassess the situation.
Okay. Okay. And then once you've sort of gotten over that initial panic, what are some of the tools that you can use to maybe minimize your losses?
Well, one of the most effective tools is a stop loss order.
Oh, right. Yeah. Stop loss order. What is that exactly?
Yeah, so it's basically an order that you place with your broker to automatically sell a stock if it drops below a certain price.
Okay.
So it's basically like a safety net
Mhm.
to help you limit your losses.
Right. Right.
So, if you buy a stock at $50 and you set a stop loss order at $45,
Right.
if the stock drops to $45, it'll automatically sell and you'll only lose $5 a share,
Okay.
as opposed to, holding on and letting it drop further
Right.
and losing more money.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So it can be a really valuable tool to manage your risks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, our sources also talk about turning losses into learning opportunities. How do you actually do that?
Well, I think the key is to really analyze what went wrong.
Mm.
Don't just dwell on the loss,
Right.
but really try to figure out what happened. Did you ignore any red flags?
Right.
Did you let your emotions get the best of you? Did you deviate from your investment plan?
Right.
By really dissecting your mistakes, you can identify patterns and weaknesses in your decision-making process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just like a top athlete, studies the tapes.
Exactly.
They go back and they look at what they did.
Yeah.
What went right, what went wrong, and then try to learn from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So as we wrap up here, are there any other kind of general tips that you would give to the listener to help them, avoid these bull traps in the first place?
Yeah, I think, it really comes down to three key principles: research, awareness, and emotional control.
Okay.
First and foremost, do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Before you invest in anything, understand the company, the industry, the market. Make sure you have a solid understanding of what you're getting into.
Mm-hmm.
Second, stay informed.
Mm-hmm.
Keep up with the latest news, market trends, industry developments.
Right.
The more you know, the better equipped you'll be to spot potential bull traps.
Right.
And then finally, and perhaps most importantly, manage your emotions. Don't let fear and greed cloud your judgment. Have a plan, stick to it, and don't get swept up in the hype.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's those are great points to end on. So next time you're looking at the market and you see something going up, going up, going up, you got to ask yourself, okay, is this the real deal, or is this the matador getting ready to move out of the way?
Right, exactly.
So we hope this deep dive has been helpful. Keep those red flags in mind and invest wisely. Thanks for listening.
And be careful out there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bulls out there.
Yeah, there are.
And they're not all friendly.
They're not.